In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome again at البلقاء Islamic School English Department. This lesson is prepared for 11th grade students to start discussing together a new lesson under the title of Nuclear Physicist. Student book, page 46. So open your student book, page 46. Before we start discussing the lesson itself, we have to recognize what do we mean by nuclear physics. In nuclear physics, الفيزياء النووية, it is the field of physics that studies atomic nuclei and their constituents and interactions. يعني الفيزياء النووية أو مجال من الفيزياء اللي بيدرس النواة الذرية ومكوناتها، اللي هي constituents وتفاعلاتها للinteractions. Nuclear physics should not be confused with atomic physics. لا ينبغي أن أخلط ما بين الفيزياء النووية والفيزياء الذرية. So nuclear physics هي الفيزياء النووية والatomic physics هي الفيزياء الذرية which studies the atom as a whole. هاي الذرية بتدرس الذرة ككل. while بينما بتتضمن طبعا الذرية including its electrons and so on. هلا discoveries in the nuclear physics الاكتشافات الفيزياء النووية have led to applications قادت إلى العديد من التطبيقات in many fields في العديد من المجالات. هذه فكرة عن nuclear physics. Okay, now look at the two pictures at the top of page 46 at your student book. What do you think these pictures might or may represent? The first picture may represent or someone who works in factory, in a field. Maybe he is someone, according to the title, who works in physics, who exactly a physicist. Okay, while the second picture represents an area in which certain thing happen, certain experiments happen. Maybe it's a laboratory, maybe it is a factory, and so on. Do you know the words nuclear energy mean? Maybe it is a type of energy produced when an element called uranium undergoes a reaction. Do they know, or do you know what a physicist is? Maybe it's someone whose job is related to physics. What kind of energy does nuclear power usually produce? Do you know anything else about nuclear power? Let us see these questions through reading the text. But before that, we have to answer the pre-reading questions in speaking section at page 46. Number 1. What kind or what do you think a nuclear physicist does? A nuclear physicist works with engineers to produce new forms of equipment. They also measure amounts of radiation, and they might also teach students at a university. Okay, we will check our answer through the text too. The second question says that read these extracts from 1 to 5 an interview with a nuclear physicist. What do you think the questions are? Work with a partner and write your ideas. 1. I mostly work with a nuclear engineers to produce new forms of equipment. 2. There isn't really ever a typical day. 3. I also do practical hands-on work, like testing the safety of the radioactive levels in different locations. 4. I got a degree in physics and then became a research assistant. After that, I worked on a PhD and taught university students. 5. I recommend that you got some kind of work experience in a laboratory. Now let's go to discuss certain topic and find the questions that related to these extracts. I will read the interview aloud. Pay attention, please. Interviewer: Good afternoon and welcome to your career in science. In this studio today, we have Sana, a nuclear physicist, who is going to tell us about her job. Welcome, Sana. How are you today? Hi, I'm fine, thanks. It's good to be on the show. I'm sure we would all like to know about your job. What exactly do you do? So, Miss, from the introduction, we can realize one such thing that Sana, it is someone who is invited to an interview on a show on TV, maybe, or a radio program. And the main subject of this interview to ask her about her job being as a nuclear physicist, okay? So the pronoun who, line 3, who is going to tell us who refers to Sana, اللي هي a nuclear physicist. We, us, the interviewer and the audience, الجمهور, refers to them. Now, Sana, I mostly work with a nuclear engineers. هنا the type of job, نوع الشغل, أو what does she actually do in her job as a nuclear physicist. شو شغلها يعني، شو طبيعة شغل اللي بيشتغل بالفيزياء النووية. هذا راح تحكي لنا I mostly work with nuclear engineers to produce a new form of equipment. هاي number 1. وصفة she described the job as it is hard work, عمل شاق. but تعطيني الأبوزيشن، التناقض. I enjoy the intellectual challenge، بتحب التحدي العقلي. So بفهم من هاي السياق إنه being a nuclear engineer isn't an easy thing، مش إشي سهل إنه نقوم فيه. It is challenging but an interesting job too. يعني بيجمع بين المتناقضات، هو عمل ممتع لكنه شاق، بده intellectual challenging، بده تحدي عقلي plus I think physical one. نشوف the second question, miss. Can you describe a typical day at your work? يومك شو بيكون عبارة عن إيش؟ Well, there isn't really ever a typical day. فيش يوم محدد. Sometimes I work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. but I might have to travel from one end of the country to another to get to where I am needed. Sometimes I have to work at night to complete my experiments, and the other times I have to write a report very quickly. I have to work very long hours from time to time. So, miss, there isn't really ever a typical day for a nuclear physicist. يعني فيش يوم محدد، فيش position برضه ثابت، فيش وقت ثابت للشغل. It depends about the task that the nuclear physicist does. Okay? نشوف the third question. Are there any other kinds of work that you do? I used to teach physics at a university. So, I spent a lot of time with the students. I really enjoy teaching. But now I do a lot more research. I also do practical hands-on work, like testing the safety of the radioactive levels in the different locations. So, تعطيني عن other things, other tasks that the nuclear physicist does. اللي هي teaching physics in a university. She enjoyed teaching. She does a lot of research. She does practical hands-on work, and الإكزامبل على الهاندز وورك مثل testing the safety of radioactive level، إنها تعمل اختبار للأمان لمستوى radioactive ب different locations في مواقع مختلفة. The last question here: how did you become a nuclear physicist؟ وإيش اللي وصلك لهون؟ هنشوف. Well, I always wanted to work in science. لطالما أحبت إنها تعمل في العلوم. I studied scientific subjects at school and really enjoy them. هاي النقطة الثانية. When I left school, I got a degree in physics and then became a research assistant. بعد ما أخذت الديجري in physics أصبحت مساعدة بحث. After that, I worked on a PhD and taught university students before getting this job. حصلت على شهادة الدكتوراه وعلمت طلاب الجامعة قبل ما تحصل على عملها as a nuclear physicist. The last question here is: have you got any advice for young people who want to follow your career path؟ عندك أي نصيحة advice للشباب هو refers to young people اللي بدهم يتبعوا نهجك أو خلينا نحكي عملك؟ I recommend that أنا أوصي بي you get some kind of work experience in a laboratory to see if you enjoy the type of work. لازم يكون عندك شهادة خبرة بالمختبر لحالة تشوف أنت بتحب الشغل هذا ولا لا. Also to see if it suits you. شوف إذا ملائم لك ولا لا. Although برضو تعطيني الopposition. My job is very stressful. هو عمل بخليك بخلق عندك جو من التوتر أو القلق. I find it exciting. أنا وجدته ممتع and I enjoy it. وبرضو I enjoy it every day. أنا بستمتع فيه كل يوم. Now I will go to exercise number 2. حكالي find the suitable question for these extracts. Number 1: what exactly do you do? I mostly work with nuclear engineers to produce a new form of equipment. 2: can you describe a typical day at your work? There isn't really ever a typical day. 3: are there any other kind of work that you do? I also do practical hands-on work like testing the safety of the radioactive levels in different locations. 4: how did you become a nuclear physicist? I got a degree in physics and then became a research assistant. After that, I worked on a PhD and taught university students. The last question is: have you got any advice for young people who want to follow your career path? I recommend that you get some kind of work experience in a laboratory. Here we reach to the end of our lesson today. I hope you understand it and enjoy it. Best wishes, my dear student in the 11th grade. Bye bye.